Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yater Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, The Forward Corporation, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Hammond Drives and Equipment, Garber Chevrolet, the West Branch Visitors Bureau, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Indeed, this is the big guy, Mike Avery. Thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction. And welcome. Welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on broadcast radio stations across our great state of Michigan. And as always, so glad to have you along with us as we kind of settle into this new year. You know, it's still a new year, right? And it's okay to say Happy New Year because it is certainly a new year. But we're kind of settling into it now. How many times have you written down or typed in 2025? That just goes with the territory, doesn't it? And here's an interesting fact, and I just realized this, and I don't know why I didn't realize this until now. 2026 is the 250th anniversary of our country. Now, I didn't realize that until I went back. See, I graduated high school in 1976, which was the bicentennial year. We were the bicentennial class. So, 2026 is 50 years since I graduated high school, which is just ridiculous. So that makes this the 250th anniversary of our country, which is pretty darn cool. So we're settling into this new year. Mother Nature keeps, I don't know, what is she doing to us? Mother Nature is doing what Mother Nature always does. Mother Nature is enforcing her will because she can. And we have no control over it. As folks who love the outdoors, I've said this a whole bunch of times, all we can do is go along with it and try to make the most of it and adapt to it. You know, there's good ice on the inland lakes. Saginaw Bay keeps, she's fickle so far. She looks like she wants to get some good ice and let people out there, and then things change. And I will probably go out on the ice of Saginaw Bay once this winter. And I'll go out, I'm sure, with my son James and our mutual friend Mike Smith of Offshore 8 Count Fishing. I'm just not a big ice fisherman anymore. And I get that we need to have winter. We need to have winter, number one, to replenish the water for snowfall. We need to have it for wintertime outdoor recreational reasons, so you can chase rabbits with beagles, so you can go skiing, so you can go cross-country skiing, so you can go snowmobiling, so you can go ice fishing. I get it. And I really used to be big into many, if not most, if not all of those wintertime activities. Just not so much anymore. In fact, I wouldn't care if it never snowed on my driveway and the roads ever again. Wouldn't bother me at all. You notice I didn't say I didn't want snow ever, because I want snow for your snow machines and your sledding and everything else. I'm just not... Actually, now that I think about it, I'm probably not as hardcore about any of my outdoor passions as I used to be. I'm still as passionate. I'm still as committed. I am still as dedicated to promoting and encouraging and protecting and being involved in those outdoor passions. But I think, you know, as life progresses, the intensity level drops a little bit. I'm certainly not as intense in my outdoor activities as I used to be. I used to be as hardcore and just driving, boom, 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 day in, day out, early, late, as often as I could, as anybody. These days, I kind of pick and choose those days. Is that age? I like to think of that as experience and wisdom. So I will likely get out on Saginaw Bay this winter. And I'm looking forward to it. I'll probably do it one time and call it good. enjoy that resource. Boy, we have some wonderful resources in our state, don't we? I know you can get as mad at the DNR as you want. You can gripe about the deer management. You can gripe about what else? Turkey management. Pick a topic that you don't like the DNR for, because there's a bunch of them that people don't like the DNR for. But when you look around, this is still a pretty darn good state to live in. We don't have full-blown mountains, but we've got some really nice hills up north. We don't have salt water, but we're surrounded by beautiful fresh water. We don't have the deer hunting of some of the western and midwestern, other midwestern states, but man, if you want to hunt deer in Michigan, you have every opportunity in the world. In fact, I was thinking the other day, I have to get back out to our lease property. I'm done deer hunting. I took my one doe. We've got meat for the freezer, so I'm done. But I do need to get out to our lease property and take down an elevated blind that my grandson Trent and I had put out there, months ago now. It's an elevated blind that has a fabric cover on it. So I don't want to leave that fabric cover out there the rest of the winter, all spring and all summer, even though it's pretty tough. I just think I'm asking for trouble. So I'm going to take that down. And I had also put some plywood floors over the mesh grate at the base of that blind. I think I'm going to grab those, bring them in and take them over to storage as well. So just, kind of settling in for winter as we settle into the new year. What else is going on? Oh, speaking of deer hunting, have you noticed how early many whitetail bucks are dropping their antlers this year? I mean, way early. I'm not sure why. I have some theories, but my theories don't carry any water when it comes to deer hunting or deer in general. But they are certainly dropping earlier this year, to the point where I know of one hunter who was doing a deer management hunt, and the folks who were doing that hunt actually shot a couple of bucks who had already dropped their antlers. A completely legal harvest. It's an antlerless deer, right? And this was weeks ago now. So if you're still out there doe hunting here in Michigan, I would ask you to be aware of that. Now that that's in the back of your mind, go, okay, look real closely at that thing. Is that a buck that is dropped, or is that a doe? I have been a victim of that myself in the past. And again, it's completely legal, completely ethical. It's just something you want to be aware of. And if we're talking about shed whitetail antlers, and it's easy, but let's not call them horns. They're not horns. Why are they not horns, Avery? They're on the top of the deer's head. They're not horns because they drop. If it drops, it's an antler. If it doesn't drop, it's a horn. Elk have antlers. Moose have antlers. Whitetails have antlers. And you think about a moose or an elk, that's a lot of bone to grow in a few months, isn't it? Sheep have horns. Cows have horns. What else? I think, pronghorn, because their sheep have horns. Pronghorns are sheep. They have horns. If they don't drop, it's a horn. The Ultimate Fishing Show in Novi is this weekend. If you are looking for some place to go, I would encourage you to check that out. I realize if you're listening in the middle of the UP, number one, have you dug out from the snow yet? But you're probably not going to make a drive all the way down to Novi for an outdoor show. But if you're in the southern part of the state and interested in it, I would encourage you to check that out. A lot of good things coming up. We'll be talking more about that in the show here this week. Some activities coming up personally on my schedule. On the 7th of February, I'm involved in a fundraiser for Brian's House in Bay City. That is a, what's the word? Charlie, when people are at the end of life, what's the word for... Hospice. Thank you for that. Yeah, very much. Brian's House Hospice. Then the 7th, our big Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. That's at the Great Hall in Midland. Tickets are now on sale for that if you go to one.bidpal.net/Trinity. I also have a link for that on my Facebook page. That'll be another big event. Really looking forward to that this year once again. And then on the 21st, this coincides with Outdoorama. again down in Novi, but the annual MUCC convention. This will be a very interesting event this year because MUCC is in transition. And the meeting on Saturday night there will actually be a fundraiser and an attempt to bring in different user groups. So that will be interesting. I continue to support MUCC, what they stand for, what they are doing, but I'm also very interested in what the future of that organization looks like. Speaking of the future, let me look into the future a couple hours and tell you who's on the radio show this week. Coming up first, Sir Lancelot, Lance Valentine, talking about the fishing show season coming up. Then Keil Jorgenson of Woods-n-Waternews. In our second hour, Jason Herbert talking about the early search for shed whitetail antlers. Then Ed Blissick from the Great Lakes Salmon Initiative. He has details on proposed legislation. In fact, I think it's coming up for a vote that would impact Great Lakes trolling anglers and also affect the way the DNR is funded. This week's Ask Avery question. If you are still deer hunting, doe hunting, and you come up on an animal that you're tracking after dark, are you allowed to shoot it? You can't, are you? I mean, you can't go out hunting after dark. Can you dispatch an animal after dark legally? And in our third hour, we're talking about St. Joe steelhead fishing with Captain Jerry Link of Originator Charters. And we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. My name is Mike Avery. This show is called Outdoor Magazine. My website is MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address is Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I would love to hear from you. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show all across our great state of Michigan. In Alpena, you can find us on WZTK, that's 105.7 FM. In St. Joe, another FM station, WSJM 94.9 FM. And let's go north of the bridge to WDMJ in Marquette, 1320 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by the Linwood Beach Marina and Campground. Linwood Beach can be your year-round Saginaw Bay fishing destination and your mid-Michigan Angler Quest headquarters. Wonderful location, great facilities, outstanding people. I can't say enough about Linwood Beach. It is like Saginaw Bay trolling central, ice fishing central, fall walleye fishing central. Their website, linwoodbeachmarina.com, linwoodbeachmarina.com. Linwood Beach is also the base of operations in the summertime for Sir Lancelot. Sir Lancelot, who is that? Well, if you've been with me before, and I'd like to think you have, you know that Sir Lancelot is the man himself, Lance Valentine of the Walleye Zone, thewalleyezone.com, and he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Sir Lancelot, buddy, how are you?
I'm doing great today, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hey, listen, I've been kind of following you online. You've been under the weather. I can still tell from your voice you're not 100%. You coming back?
Yeah, doing pretty good. We got a bug right after Christmas, basically Sunday after Christmas, and we're down that whole week. And just now kind of starting to come around, feeling pretty good. A little bit of a little tired still, but feeling pretty good and getting ready to have a pretty busy week here.
Yeah, that bug that's going around is just absolutely terrible, though. Now you get to, now you're not infectious anymore, but you get to put yourself in the middle of a crowd. Maybe see if you can catch something else now, Lance.
Yeah, well, let's see if we can we lose another week of our life. So hopefully, usually I do get something during show season, but hopefully this was my bug, and we're done, and we can get through show season and be healthy.
Hey, and I hope so as well, Lance. I was talking as part of the introduction about how you fish out of Linwood Beach in the summertime. Boy, that crew up there in their facilities, Linwood Beach, that's just a really special place, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite places to go. Not just the services and just the people that work there, but all the anglers, and we got a nice little group of charter captains up there that we're all friends. We all get to hang out every day together and talk about fishing, and then you bring in the anglers that aren't charter captains that use that as their port, and it's just a really cool place to be. it's always busy, always activity going on, always somebody to talk to, and those guys do. I've been all over the country fishing, and you want to talk about facilities. There aren't too many places anywhere that I've ever been that are much better than the facilities at Linwood Beach, and the quality of the people, from the service, Pat in the service department, the parks department, everything there is just first class all the way. So we're really lucky to have it here on Saginaw Bay, and like you said, it is walleye central, basically 365 days a year. So it's definitely a great place to go and great people. And if people haven't been there, definitely get there this summer and use it as your port of entry onto Saginaw Bay.
And I'm quite sure too, it's also your jumping off spot for your ice fishing adventures on the bay too.
Yeah, all those ice fishing adventures I do. Yeah, that's where we go. Yeah. I'm like you. Ice is for skating on or putting in drinks. That's about it.
Well, I understand the appeal of it. It's just not for me anymore. Yeah. But what about you, Lance? Were you ever an ice angler, or it just wasn't part of your schedule?
Yeah, no, I never was. We grew up a hockey family. Myself and my brother, and we were, wintertime for us was hockey. 2 or 3 nights a week at practice, and every Saturday and Sunday we played, and Friday night was open skating, and the Generals game. Saturday was, we played, and it was high school hockey at night. Sunday was a home game for our minor league team in Flint here, the Generals. Our whole life in the wintertime, basically from October through early April, focused on hockey, and we never had time to really do anything else in the wintertime. So I just never became a fisherman, a nice fisherman, and that's just kind of been something. Winter was always set aside for hockey, and never really got into the ice fishing thing of it, and really to this day really have no desire. I enjoy what I do. I love my job. I love that I get a chance to fish as much as I do. But by the time we get done with our fishing education weekend in November, maybe I do, a couple weekends looking for some big fish in November, early December. I'm pretty well done, because now we're into show season, and that's all of January, February, March. We start Detroit River late March. It's just nice to have a little bit of a break, before we get back at it again in April. So, every year people bug me, hey, we're going to get you out. And I'm sure at some point somebody will, but I'm going to need a lot more ice than we have now, and a lot different weather than we have right now to feel comfortable being out on the ice.
You mentioned show season. We are in the show season now. What does that mean to you, Lance?
So, honestly, I love it. We're doing something a little bit different this year. We're not going to have our own booth. We're going to kind of be working with a couple different people at the shows, basically primarily Hook One Bait and Tackle. They're going to have all of our tackle there.
Pete Petsalis.
I get a chance to. Yeah, absolutely. Great guy.
Yeah. Had him on the show and podcast many times.
Yeah, we developed a relationship with Pete over the last couple of years. He's a big supporter of what we do at the Walleye Zone. And I'm able to do more seminars this year. So instead of being tied to the booth, I get a chance to do a couple things this year I don't get a chance to do. That's number one, talk to more people. Because when you're in a booth and you're trying to sell product to cover the cost of what it costs to go to a show, sometimes you don't have the time to talk. So I'm going to have more time to talk to people. I'm going to have a chance to do some more seminars that I haven't had a chance to do the last couple of years. And honestly, for me, I get a chance to actually walk the show a little bit and talk to some of the people in the industry that I don't get a chance to see because I'm always busy working a booth. So it'll be fun this year to kind of have a little different approach to the Novi show and really get a chance to spend more time doing what I love to do, which is talking to people about fishing.
Do you ever get tired of talking to people? At the end of the day, do you sometimes say, you know what, I just got to go sit in a corner and be quiet and turn the lights off?
Yes. I don't get tired while I'm doing it, but I do at the end of the day. I do enjoy my ride home from Novi back home to Flint every night to just kind of decompress a little bit. It is a lot, and again, I don't want to take for granted what I do, and I'm thankful for everybody that's allowed me to do what I do. But, I asked a guy one time, I said, hey, what do you do? He goes, I'm a plumber. I said, okay. I said, so when you're done at the end of the day with plumbing, I says, do you call your friend and talk about plumbing? He goes, no. He goes, God, I'm done. I goes, exactly.
Yeah.
And he looked at me, he goes, yeah, but it's fishing. I goes, I know, but it's 24 hours a day. So sometimes it is nice to just take a little break. So I enjoy it when I'm in a position or a space where it is time to talk fishing. But yeah, I do enjoy stepping back and doing other things and kind of getting a chance to decompress every once in a while.
Do you hunt at all, Lance?
I don't. Again, because we were a hockey family, deer hunting was never a big thing because it fell right in the middle of hockey season. So we never did that. We used to do a little bit of partridge hunting. We had a cabin up on the AuSable River just outside of Grayling.
Ooh.
And we used to do a little bit of partridge hunting in October. That was always fun. I enjoyed that. But no, I'm not a hunter. Deer hunting for me is, there's 4 things you have to do to be a good deer hunter that I don't do. Get up early, sit in the cold, be quiet, and not move. Those are 4 things that Lance is not very good at. So, you know what I would love? I would love an invitation to go bird hunting or rabbit hunting next year. That I would enjoy. The active hunting where you can talk and you can have a good time. That I do enjoy. But as far as the deer hunting piece of it, that's just not my personality.
When you had the place up on the AuSable, did you guys chase trout? Were you a fly fisherman early on?
Yeah, so we were the first cabin downstream of Keystone Campground, which is right in the middle of the flies only stretch. That started up at Burton's Landing and kind of ended, downstream of Wakely Bridge. So we were about halfway between Grayling and Stefan's Bridge. I had a stretch of river that was about 1.25 miles long that I would walk 4 times a day. I would walk upstream in the woods, get in, fish all the way down, come back, stop at the cabin, grab a bite to eat and something to drink, and go back and do it again over and over and over again. And that whole stretch was wadeable. It was one of the best fly fishing. It was a flies only section, and that was my whole life until I was about 14 years old. I never knew there was a way to catch anything different than fly fishing. Really, honestly, didn't know there was anything really different than trout. So that was kind of how I grew up, was understanding currents, reading currents, understanding bug hatches, understanding temperature, understanding flow, understanding water color and clarity, all those things that we talk about now. I learned those as a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kid up on the river, and how to make adjustments to those. So that background of being a stream fisherman, especially a stream trout fisherman, I think really has served me well as a good foundation going forward into other species of fish. That's
interesting. So what you learned on the river, trout fishing as a kid, you did take away things from that you can use today out trolling for walleye.
Absolutely. It's so fun. It's so funny to be on the lake. And I'll look and I'll see a current seam, or I'll see something that nobody else notices. I'm like, how can you not see that water, the ripple on that water right there is different than the ripple here? There's something going on there. It's either, the wind's either pushing water up against structure or a rock, or there's a current seam there. And people just, I say it this way when I do my seminars. It's a lot easier to take a river fisherman and make them a good lake angler than it is to take a lake angler and make them a good river angler, because lake anglers don't pay attention to the details that river. Look, when you're casting a fly, my fly may be 50 feet away from me. Well, between me and my fly, there may be 3 different speeds of current. I have to move my fishing line so my fly looks like it's going naturally. I have to mend my fishing line 2 or 3 times between me and there. I have to watch that. It's not just where my fly is. I have to watch all that. Same thing as float fishing for steelhead. You have to watch all that stuff. And when you grow up learning that, you really notice subtle things that happen on a lake. When you're just on a lake and everything looks flat and not moving, even though it's not, you don't notice those things that make you a good angler. And I the things I learned on the AuSable River and water up to my knees, I still apply every day on the Detroit River. You can watch those current seams change as the water level goes up or down, or the wind changes. You can see how the current moves, and now these fish are on this little break of this current, and now that current, because of the wind, has moved 15 feet east or west, or the water's gotten a little higher and that current seam has moved in or out. All those little things that I learned standing in the stream and physically being able to feel the water press against me, those things are all lessons that I take in the boat with me every single day I go fishing.
Oh, you make my brain hurt every time we talk. It's a good hurt, though, Lance. It's a good hurt.
Fishing's not hard. Fishing's not hard, but it is complicated. Remember?
I do remember that. Hang tight, Lance. We got to take a break. We're talking to Sir Lancelot, Lance Valentine. You can learn more about him and what he's about these days on his website, thewalleyezone.com, thewalleyezone.com. In fact, we'll probably talk more about that after the break. Lance is one of the good guys. A true friend of mine, just a really good, loyal, genuine guy who works hard for his clients, and you will not spend a day on the water without learning something if you're fishing with Lance Valentine of the Walleye Zone, thewalleyezone.com. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Caro on two stations, WKYO 1360 AM and WIDL 92.1 FM. You can also hear us north of the bridge. Let's go to Iron Mountain. As long as we're going north of the bridge, let's go way north, right? Iron Mountain, WMIQ 1450 AM. You can hear the show on stations across our great state of Michigan. It's also available as a podcast. I have been doing this for a long, long time, in broadcasting of one form or another for a long time, something like 45 years now. I think this is my 45th year. But here in Michigan, we are blessed with a lot of outdoor communication entities that have been around for decades. In the print perspective, the print world, I'm thinking of Woods-n-Waternews, Michigan's premier outdoor publication, woods-n-waternews.com. Keil Jorgenson is a second-generation manager at Woods and Water, and he is in many ways, I think, the future of that publication. And with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Keil, welcome back.
Thanks, Mike, for having me back on. It's always a pleasure.
Well, the pleasure is mine. You know I have much respect for what you folks do, and you know, it's a monthly grind. It's a weekly grind, you know, year in, year out, month after month. You continue to come up with new issues. So I've got to believe that this show season is a nice little break for you. You get a chance to get out and actually talk to the people who subscribe to the magazine.
Yeah, no, it's great because you're absolutely right. I mean, it is a grind when you live by deadlines and make sure you have all different articles. You're not repeating the same thing over and over again. But, you know, like we're at the Ultimate Fishing Show, and Tom will be there all weekend, Campbell. And it's good to see the people and talk to them and see them face-to-face rather than just, you know, whether an email or a phone call or something like that. It's personable, and that's a pleasure.
When I think back years ago when your dad, Randy, started Woods-n-Waternews, the logistics, the technical abilities, the minutia of putting together a print publication as opposed to what you're dealing with now. The technology has changed so much. It's got to be a different world these days, Keil.
Yeah, it really is. And I remember when I was a kid, I'd come in during production days, and he'd have roll of tape and scissors, and he'd run things through the wax and run back and forth to the dark room. There was stuff all over the floors. And now it's, like you said, the technology is so much easier. It's still different to us a little bit. We always like that old school way, but with the computers and the graphics and everything, I mean, if you look at a magazine even 25 years ago to now, it's night and day difference, and it's cool.
And you said you don't want to repeat things, and I know this firsthand myself, there are only so many topics you can talk about, only so many seasons of the year that you have to follow. It's inevitable. So what is the challenge? Finding a different spin on an old topic?
Yeah, I mean, really, you know, different tips and perspectives from different writers, and even sometimes the same writers who have learned different ways, and they're evolving as well. So that's always nice. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's difficult in this state when, you know, we're kind of limited to certain things seasonally. But yeah, it's, you know, like this next issue we have is one great article is Cure for Depression for the season. And for people that didn't have much success like myself, it's kind of a good, fun article to read.
What is the term, depression?
Depression. Like depression, but depression. I was like, yeah, it's kind of about me this year.
Oh man, I love that. I love that. So is the focus these days on me and Joe went out and did this and tell the story of the experience, or is it more of a how to be better at what your outdoor passion is?
Both. We love the stories from, you know, we get them all the time submitted to us, to me and Tom. People's stories, whether it's good or bad, and then you get ones like, oh, if I would have done this, next time I know better, you know, I'm going to hunt the wind a little better, or I'm going to find this hole in this part of the lake if I'm ice fishing. So yeah, it's both, Mike.
I know you have a very good, solid, professional stable of writers, but can anybody submit a story to you guys? Yes,
they can, and we really welcome that. They can send it right to WNW at page1-inc.com, and, you know, we'll read it and edit if we have to and run it. It's, you know, that's the beauty of kind of controlling the print here and getting different perspectives of people, and not just your everyday writers or every month writers, but your hunters, the people that go out there and see their point of view with it is amazing.
And I know that for several years now you have offered a digital edition of the magazine. I got to be honest, that's the way I prefer to read it these days. But the print version is still extraordinarily popular. That is the go-to venue for a lot of people, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we've talked about it in the past, and I know Tom's talked to you too. There's just something different about holding that print in your hand. Whether it's at a fishing lodge or your hunting camp or just at home getting nighttime reading in or morning reading, just holding that print, flipping the pages. That's the way we prefer it too. But yes, the digital is getting very, very popular, and the combo where you can get print and digital together for a subscription is good for a lot of people.
The website, woods-n-waternews.com, or do a Google search for Woods-n-Waternews. Tom Campbell will be at the Ultimate Fishing Show in Novi this weekend. Stop by and say hi. Keil, always appreciate your time. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks so much, Mike. Take care.
All right, that'll wrap up this first hour of this week's Outdoor Magazine show. Coming up after the break, we're going to switch gears here a little bit and talk about the search for shed whitetail antlers. Now, normally this is a conversation I would have a month from now, but the bucks are dropping early this year. Maybe we can find out why. Jason Herbert will join us, then Ed Blissick of the Great Lakes Salmon Initiative, and this week's Ask Avery question, all coming up in Hour 2 of this week's Outdoor Magazine.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yater Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, The Forward Corporation, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Hammond Drives and Equipment, Garber Chevrolet, the West Branch Visitors Bureau, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Push the button, Charlie. Push the button. Welcome to hour number 2 of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network on wonderful AM and FM radio stations across this great state of Michigan as we settle in to this new year of 2026. How many times have you written typed in 2025? I don't think I've made that mistake yet. For some reason, there are certain years that get me, but I think 2026, I don't think I'm going to fall victim to the wrong year this year. But of course, now that I say that, of course I certainly will. I mentioned those broadcast stations. They are the heart and soul of the Outdoor Magazine radio franchise, and I would love for you, if you can, to listen to the show on your local AM or FM station. If you can't, if you live in some part of our state not covered by the broadcast signal, and there's a whole story there that I can go into, but some other time. Or if your local station doesn't carry all 3 hours and you want to hear all 3 hours of this show, isn't it nice to know that there's a podcast version that is available? Now, the content is exactly the same. You're not going to hear different guests. You're not going to hear different questions, different topics. It's exactly the same. But I don't make the content available until after the broadcast stations have had a chance to air it, because I really want to protect those broadcast stations, as I consider them to be very, very valuable. The podcast version usually gets uploaded Sunday afternoon about 6. You can hear it on my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, on my Facebook page, on almost all of the usual suspects when it comes to hosting podcasts, including Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Odyssey. Just do a search for Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine, and you will more than likely find it. I am a big fan of podcasting, though. I think it's a great way to reach people these days. And I do podcasts that don't air as radio shows. They are strictly podcasts. I do podcasts each month for Angler Quest Pontoons, Killer Food Plots, and Offshore Tackle. Now, coincidentally, this month's Offshore Tackle podcast features a guy that I had in the first hour of this week's radio show. His name is Lance Valentine. You can hear that podcast at offshoretackle.com. That's offshoretackle.com. I also put it on my Facebook page as well. So what is going on in the outdoors right now? Well, a lot of people are pretty excited about ice fishing. The inland ice across most of the state, pretty good. I didn't look at the forecast for the rest of the week, so I'll give you this caveat. Don't trust anybody's ice condition report. Check it yourself. Go out there with a spud, chunk, chunk, chunk. If you're going out on big water, follow other people out there. Stay on trails. The Coast Guard's old saying was ice is never safe. Well, obviously that's wrong. Ice can be safe. So if you're not ice fishing, what else are you doing? I've actually heard of some people out there looking for shed whitetail antlers already. I know it's crazy, isn't it? It's a good month, maybe 6 weeks early. Usually this is something we talk about in March. But a lot of Michigan bucks are shedding early this year. They're not dropping their horns because horns don't drop. They drop their antlers. Jason Herbert is a guy who has turned this whole search for shed whitetail antlers into a science, an art form. I don't know, but he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Jason, welcome back. How have you been?
Man, I'm great, Mike. I'm so blessed. So first of all, thank you again for having me. And second, how are you?
I am doing. You know what? I couldn't be better. We're kicking off a new year. I am excited about the possibilities, about the opportunities, and going back to the concept of an early drop for whitetails this year. Number one, do you agree that they're dropping early? And Jason, do you have any thoughts or theories on why?
Yeah, absolutely. They're dropping super early. At least at my farm, where I have, the most intel on the whitetail here because I watch them every day. Here's what I think. The first one that dropped in my neighborhood was one that the neighbor had hit, never recovered. The animal survived, and he was super stressed out. Okay, so I think the stress from an injury is causing some of them to drop early. And the other theory that I've noticed is some of the real dominant bucks that do most of the breeding in the fall aren't necessarily your highest scoring, prettiest antlered bucks, right? They're your thug 3 and 4 year old 8 points and 6 points and such. The rut's really hard on those guys, and they're starting to shed too. So yeah, I've seen some injured ones shed, and I've seen the really dominant bucks have already shed as well.
And I don't disagree with those, but you're going to get injured deer and you're going to get rut-stressed deer every year. I'm still wondering why this year might be different. And maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe we just take advantage of it anyway.
I think, and the other thing I forgot to mention, and I think winter came early, at least in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
I was looking back at through some photos. We had quite a bit of cold snow over Thanksgiving, and it didn't seem to let up for a little. We got a little bit of a break. I gauge the break by if my honeybees are flying or not, and my honeybees have flown once since Thanksgiving, and I'm hoping they'll fly again this week. We're going to get a little bit of a break there too. But yeah, I think the injuries, the exhaustion from the rut and that early cold snap, I think that's a perfect storm for bucks already shedding antlers.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I didn't know you were a beekeeper. That's another topic I'm fascinated by. My granddad was a beekeeper, and I used to sell honey as a kid. I'm fascinated by that. Maybe we'll have you back sometime in the future to talk about that, Jason.
I would love that, Mike. It's one of my newer passions. As you know, I'm a recently retired educator, and then I've taken on 2 more careers since then.
So what you're telling me is you failed at retirement.
I'm not good at retirement, but I'm living my best life, man. But beekeeping is just so grounding. And when you're a dedicated beekeeper, you're also really a dedicated conservationist, right?
Yes.
And it's been so much fun for me. I would love to nerd out with you on that.
Well, let's make it a point of doing that. In the meantime, let's nerd out on the sport of shedding, looking for antlers. And again, I'm going to say they're not horns because they drop. Horns don't drop, antlers drop. Is that an oversimplification, or am I even wrong here, Jason?
No, you're absolutely right. And I was just listening to you on Facebook Live, and I made a note on my desk of like, I do know the difference, but if there was ever a time to not screw up, it's right now. Don't call them horns.
But we all do that. I mean, we all do that routinely. Look at the horns on that buck. It's not a big deal, but it's one of those little things I love to have fun with.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And it was interesting. I was watching a guy on YouTube do a European mount on an antelope or something, and to get the horns to pop off is really quite a science. And then there's a lot of connective tissue and stuff and organic material under those before you need to clean all that up and put them back on to finish up your horned animal European mount, which I thought was really fascinating.
Yeah. Well, and just because we are getting some bucks that are starting to drop their antlers early this season, is it time to go look for them, or is it too early? Are we putting too much stress on the deer by looking for them right now?
So here's how I answer that, Mike, and it's really a philosophical question, and it's an easy phrase to run through your mind: antler or the animal. Okay, just say that to yourself: antler or the animal. What's number one priority? To me, it's the health of the animal. So I'm going to play it safe. I'm not going to stress them out any more than I have to. I have a really aggressive neighbor who's managing the doe herd the best he can, and I also don't want to push any more of my deer that way, and I'm just kind of letting them do their thing and lick their wounds, and then I'll get back out probably March and really start looking hard. Now to say, you know, Mike, you haven't been to my farm yet, but I have a giant bedding area right behind my house with a food plot trail. Okay, all my trails are actually food plots, and so I can look down this major trail from my back porch and with my binoculars and see if there's any antlers sitting in it or not. And if there is, I'll go grab them. But I'm not beating the bedding areas yet.
Well, it sounds like you've got a beautiful setup there. Just as long as I have you, how was your deer season this year? Or are you still out there looking for late season does?
Best one yet. Best season yet. We are so blessed. I shot a really old buck on a neighboring farm that the guys that I share permission with there and I were after. He was just an old bully, and I got him early in bow season. And then my brother came up for Texas. My brother is a federal judge down in Texas. He's a busy dude in the immigration court system.
Oh, I bet he is.
He is. So his vacation each year is hanging out at my farm and shooting a couple of my bucks. So he shot a beautiful 3-year-old 12 point on Veterans Day. My dad's a Vietnam vet, so that's how we remember that day, with his bow. And then he got a really nice 4-year-old 8-point opening day of gun.
Wow.
And then early December, I was able to take my target buck, which is another 3-year-old 8-point, out back as well. So we've just had an incredible season. And no, our freezers are full. I don't think we'll take any more does. And I prefer to shoot the does early in the season. That's just kind of my philosophy on that.
Hang tight, Jason. We can talk more about that. We're talking with Jason Herbert. We got to take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. You can find him on Facebook, Jason Herbert. In fact, I'm looking at his Facebook page right now, and I'm pretty sure I'm looking at the big 8-point that he shot. Beautiful brow tine, just a beautiful buck. Well, had he not shot that buck, it could have dropped its antlers, and then he could have found the sheds. But you know what? I would take the buck over the sheds. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. When we come back, we'll shoot the breeze with more with Jason, then Ed Blissick, plus this week's Ask Avery question. Charlie, push the button. I have to keep reminding him. You know, I don't even know what to say. The guy's been doing this, working with me for like 20 years or something, and I have to remind him to push the button to turn on the microphone. Oh boy. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Sheboygan on Big Country Gold, WCBY, 1240 AM, 100.7 FM. You can also hear us in, Port Huron, WPHM, 1380 AM. And let's go north of the bridge. Let's go to Escanaba, WCHT, 600 AM, 93.5 FM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Killer Food Plots, Michigan-based, family-owned. You know I love that. Killer Food Plots. Now, look, I know your season hunting over your food plots, in and around your food plots, is just about done, but it's not too early to start thinking about next year's food plots. That's where we're at, and we're going to call in Rich Krazan of Killer Food Plots to help us out this year. Rich does a great job. I would encourage you to get in touch with him. The website, killerfoodplots.com. That's killerfoodplots.com, and start planning your food plot planting season for next year. killerfoodplots.com. Now, Jason Herbert has his food plots all dialed in. He's got them behind the house. He can watch them from his house. He can watch his deer herd. He can see what bucks have dropped their racks, their antlers. And Jason, it's no secret that a lot of bucks have dropped early this year. Could you put a guess on the percentage? Is it half? Is it a third? What are you seeing at your place?
At my place, I'm going to tell you it's half. And it's so interesting that in that commercial segment, you talked about food plots. First, Rich is a really cool guy. I got to meet him a couple of years at a show.
Wonderful.
Just ditto what you said. Like, if anybody can support that local Michigan company, I would recommend that they do that. And second, like my food plot mixture that I really like, I own one tractor. I don't have any really major farming equipment or implements with it, so I do a lot of just hand tossing seed and such. So I do a lot of radish and turnip food plots. That's a really good late season draw for me. But anybody around me that had grain in the field still, whether they were leaving it for the deer or just got caught off guard with the early snows and weren't able to harvest it, there's going to be a ton of antlers around those late season grain sources.
Well, you're a step ahead of me. That was what I was going to ask you. Where do we find them? Do we focus on bedding areas? Do we focus on travel corridors or the food sources?
I would say so. Yes, all of the above. Generally, on a traditional shed hunting season, which I'm still going to do this one traditionally, like we talked about earlier. I'm not going to go pressure them anytime soon. I start at the food sources first, and then kind of follow the trails back to where I consider to be the bedding areas. That's kind of how I work, from maybe an outside-in approach. Last year, I remember when you and I were talking last year, I had 8 bucks on my farm, so I was hoping to get all 16 antlers, and I think I told you I'd be happy if I got 12.
Yeah.
I got 15, but they weren't all from my farm.
Oh.
So I didn't get them all, but boy, I got a pretty good dent in them.
Well, if you got 15, you must have had some matched sets.
I did. And the funny thing is, the traditional wisdom would tell you that the really big bucks like to shed close because, like if you're a giant 10-point or something and you lose one side, that other side that's still there might be kind of inconvenient. And a lot of guys will tell you that the mature buck will work to get that other one off once he drops one.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I have found some really nice match sets close to each other, but a lot of the match ones I find are the spikes and the 4 points and the 6 points, just the little dinky guys.
Any match set to me is like the holy grail. I don't care. Finding 2 from the same buck is just so cool.
It's fantastic. Yeah, and it's just you and I talked about the spiritual aspect of this last year, and I think that's what's so fascinating to me is you're the first human to ever lay hands on this beautiful creation. And when you find them both laying right next to each other, it's something special.
Yeah, when you brought that up last year, I had never heard that before, but you are putting your hands on something, excuse me, nobody else has ever touched before. That is very cool.
It is cool, and I'm just so blessed. I don't know how many I have. I have hundreds of sheds. I made a really cool antler chandelier for my pole barn and such, but my wife doesn't necessarily appreciate them in the house as much as I do, so I'm having to store a lot of them outside now. But my buddy and I just made a really cool antler rack. They're just something to be proud of. It's neat, She says, back to my wife, she says I'll forget her birthday and our anniversary, but I will remember where I found every single shed, and she's pretty accurate on that.
I was going to ask you, is that true, Jason? Is she accurate? Is she right there? It sounds like she is.
She's very, very, very astute observation that she made.
Now, going back to looking for sheds, I have heard, some people will concentrate on where deer have to jump a ditch or they have to jump a fence or something like that. Something that, when they hit the other side, they could jar that head and maybe help that side of the rack come off. I mean, there are a lot of little tricks to keep in mind, aren't there?
Yeah, those are all great rules of thumb. I like field edges too, where the buck might have to duck a little bit to get under some overhanging brush. If you got a mulberry or an oak tree or something growing on the edge of the field and he wants to walk under that, he might have to duck a little bit. Those are all great rules of thumb. I honestly, Mike, last year I found the majority of them in bedding areas. But what was weird is they were bedding in areas that I didn't think they would be. And it was almost like the deer were playing a cruel joke on me. Like I'd see one 50 yards away through the thickest, nastiest multiflower rows you could find. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, gosh.
You see the deer or the shed?
The shed. Well, like, I got to go get that antler, but it's going to be painful. And I have no idea why they were in there other than I think they're probably browsing. I'm just giving you like a couple different examples.
Yeah.
But really thick, thorny areas last year is where I found the majority of mine in the bedding areas. So you can learn a lot about these animals when you're chasing after their antlers.
So when you found that one in the thick stuff, were you looking in there with binoculars? Is that how you saw it, or do you ever use binos?
I personally don't. I should. I just don't. I don't like wearing them on my chest. They just seem to just kind of pound against my sternum all day long.
Yeah.
And, after you walk 6-8 miles, anything becomes annoying, So I like right now, this weather that we're having where I live would be amazing because it's kind of overcast. It's kind of damp, and they just seem to pop. There's just certain environmental conditions where the antlers just seem to pop right out at you. And then there's other days where it's super sunny, a beautiful day to take a walk, right? But it's hard to see them in the full sun. So I personally don't use the binoculars. I just like to really take the environmental conditions, put those at my advantage with the damp, the overcast, the misty. I want to recommend, again, I thought I mentioned it last time we talked, I think it's a really good idea to wear some safety glasses. And I did some experimenting last year. I took shooting glasses and just regular old wood shop clear safety glasses. I didn't notice that the shooting glasses made them any easier to see. I tried doing that mushroom hunting as well, and I didn't notice any benefit to that, but I always trip. I always fall. I got a big gash on my forehead right now. I was doing some habitat work this weekend, and an autumn olive landed on my forehead. So just protect your vision. I recommend everybody wear a pair of safety glasses when they're out doing this kind of stuff. You know what,
Jason? You are the first person who has ever brought that up, and I cannot agree with that more, though. I can't tell you, years and years ago, when I was working with the conservation officers, I was a VCO, we were walking through the woods after dark, and I had no glasses on, and I put a stick into my eye so far it bounced off the back of my eye and scratched my eye and caused a lot of damage. And the number of times I've had sticks go into my eyes or slap my eyes or getting older now, fall and cause damage. Yeah, that is a great tip. If you're going to be going through the woods, especially after dark, tracking or something, just some clear safety glasses or goggles. It sounds kind of dorky, but man, that is one of the most valuable tips anybody has ever given on this show in all these years. So thank you.
Well, that's awesome, Mike. Yeah, thanks. Failure leads to success, right? And I've done my share of tripping and falling too.
I do want to go back to what you were saying, though, about keep in mind the health of your deer. Even though they're dropping sheds out there early, you might want to give it a second thought this year and wait before you go actively searching, pushing into bedding areas and such, because you just don't want to pressure these animals at what could end up being a crucial time in the winter.
Yeah, I really think so. They're super vulnerable right now. They need calories. Every calorie is precious. I think a lot of deer struggle with pneumonia and such in the off season, and there's probably a lot of mortality associated with that none of us really are even aware of. But every little bit helps. But I think the more we can just let them feel comfortable, leave them alone, continue to plant. We got a forward cast here, of course. But I think if anybody can continue to plant food plots and such this spring and summer, that will lead to late winter late fall and winter food sources, that kind of thing. I started a lot of my habitat improvement projects already, and the first phase of that for me is simply hinge cutting, new bedding areas, and release cutting around my desired species. So all that fresh browse, like at my house, when you run the chainsaw, that is ringing the dinner bell.
Yeah.
And so I'll go, like all the staghorn sumac stands I got right now, I go cut them off about 2 foot high, and I take all the branches from that the top really red brushy things is actually, a whole bunch of seeds and berries in there. And I just throw them down behind my house, and the deer will be in there eating them that night. It's just so high in vitamin C and things like that. So, yeah, I think we could really low impact start to manage your habitat and help the herd without necessarily stressing them out right now.
And I'm looking at your Facebook page before I let you go, Jason Herbert on Facebook. You're holding a great big moose antler. Is that a shed?
That's a shed that I found on Isle Royal. And I would encourage anybody that's willing and able to go to Isle Royal before you can't anymore. It's it's just such a national treasure that's right here in Michigan. And they're everywhere, Mike. Anybody that's been there will tell you that's not a big deal.
Well, it is a big deal. To find a moose shed is a big deal. Jason Herbert, I appreciate your time, appreciate your insight, your input, and the suggestion to wear safety glasses when walking through the woods. That's a good one. You can find Jason on Facebook, Jason Herbert on Facebook. He is a content creator, a freelance writer, and a real good guy. Jason, appreciate your time. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. When we come back, another good guy, Ed Blissick from the Great Lakes Salmon Initiative, talking about some interesting legislation that might be coming up. Charlie, push. Okay, he pushed it. Oh, man. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show all across the great state of Michigan, including the Twister 92.1 WTWS in Houghton Lake. And let's go to Sandusky, WMIC 660 AM 95.3 FM. I want to turn our attention now to some legislation that has been working its way through our state legislature for a while now. Ed Blissick is with the Great Lakes Salmon Initiative. We'll bring him on the phone line now to talk more about that. Ed, welcome back. How have you been?
Oh, great. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing real good. So remind me, we had talked about this earlier, but remind me what this legislation would do and what the status is right now.
Okay. Well, the legislation is House Bill 5093. And this bill was written by anglers, by a concerned group of anglers that were seeing the DNR's Fisheries Division dealing with budget cut after budget cut. And it's not written by politicians. It's not written by the DNR. It was written by fishermen. And we put this together to try to improve fishing across the whole state of Michigan. So a key part of this bill is a $5 hatchery stamp. And that $5 hatchery stamp is going to be dedicated to fish production, and it's going to allow the DNR to stock. They've committed to stocking 1 million more walleyes in inland waters, more trout stocking sites in inland waters, and more muskie stocking in inland waters. And will let Great Lakes anglers run more rods when trolling. So it's going to help fishing both inland and on the Great Lakes. So for that $5 hatchery stamp, we're going to see improved fishing across the entire state.
And would that hatchery stamp be an option, or would it be part of the base fishing license?
It would not be optional. In a way, I could say it either way, but you would need that license to fish for species raised in our hatcheries. So if you're fishing bass or bluegills, you don't need it. If you're fishing for walleye, trout, or salmon, you need it. But in return, anglers are going to get better fishing.
Gotcha. So what is the status of this now? The timing is kind of interesting right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a long slog. The bill got introduced in the summer. It got pushed kind of at a low priority with all the budget negotiations going on in the fall. They finally settled the budget. And now the bill is going to be going for a committee hearing at the House Natural Resources and Tourism Committee on January 21st. So GLSI and the other anglers in our group, we have pulled together support from 70 fishing organizations and businesses like the Salmon Fishing and Steelhead Association, Charter Boat Association, Gray Walleye groups, Blue Water Sport, all across the state, and fishing businesses. So they're all in support. We're going to be there testifying at the committee, encourage them to vote this bill yes and put it onto the House floor for a full vote by the House.
So can anglers help out this process at all? Are you looking for some input or for some help from the anglers?
Yes, certainly. What we need is anglers to call or contact, email or call members of the House Natural Resources and Tourism Committee. We have that contact information. It's going to be on the Great Lakes Salmon Initiative Facebook page, and it'll also be linked at the bottom of our homepage at www.glsalmon.org. So if you go to our Facebook page or the website, at the bottom of the website, there'll be a link to get all the members of the committee. Will have a copy and paste of all their emails, so you can take one copy, paste it in an email, and you can email all of them with one email. And basically ask them, please support and vote yes on HB 5093.
glsalmon.org, glsalmon.org, also the Facebook page. Let me ask you this, Ed. In the hunting world, there is a lot of mistrust and distrust of the DNR. Have you seen that in the fishing world as well, or is it a different scenario there?
I don't think there's that same distrust with the Fisheries Division. They've been doing a great job in our state, but our bill covers that. A key part of this bill is we establish a Fisheries Oversight Committee. That's going to be composed of representatives from all the citizens advisory committees. There's a number of them: Lake Huron, Lake St. Clair, Lake Superior, Inland, Cool Water for Inland Advisory Committee. So we'll take representatives from those committees. This Fisheries Oversight Committee job will be to ensure that the revenue that goes to the Fisheries Division is dedicated and spent to improve our fisheries. And they won't really have a huge amount of authority. They're going to have a recommendation to the legislature. And we're there just to make sure that our license dollars are used to improve fishing, and the committee will be able to say, yeah, this is a great idea, we support it, or no, this is a bad idea, we don't support it. And the legislature is very interested in hearing that. They want to hear what the stakeholders, if we're pleased with how our money's being spent. So we think that's a key part of this bill, that while it will increase revenue to the Fisheries Division, there'll be some oversight on it.
Well, I am a huge supporter of this. I realize the department does need more money. This would be one way of addressing it. I've been pushing for this, allowing Great Lakes trolling anglers to run more rods for the last several years. So I think this is a great way to address that as well, while doing some good for the fishery, for the resource, for anglers, and for the department. To me, it's a win-win all the way around.
Yeah. Another key point people don't really know is out of your fishing license today, only 55% of that money goes to the Fisheries Division. The bill fixes that and requires that 100% of fishing license dollars goes to the Fisheries Division to improve fishing in Michigan.
Well,
we think that's a travesty that almost half of the license money goes to other parts of the DNR.
Exactly. So go to glsalmon.org or the Great Lakes Salmon Initiative Facebook page. Send emails to the committee to let them know you're in support of this. Ed Blissick and your group, you've been working for a long time on this. Congrats on the good work. Good luck. We will stay in touch. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, this week's Ask Avery question: if you're tracking a deer and you find it after dark, can you shoot it after dark? You can hear the Outdoor Magazine Show in Houghton Lake and beyond on 98.5 WUPS. You can hear us in Traverse City, WTCM 580 AM, and north of the bridge in the Sioux, WKNW 1400 AM. The Ask Avery question is brought to you each week by the good folks from Security Credit Union. Security Credit Union loves to work with outdoorsmen and women, and they can help you with your next outdoor adventure. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That is securitycu.org. The way the Ask Avery question works, and you probably know this by now, but I'll give you a reminder. If you would like something addressed here on the show, if it's a question you want to give directly to me that you want me to answer, or if you want me to, say, pass it on to somebody else in the DNR or MUCC or somebody that I might have easier access to than you do, please send me an email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. That's mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. Please don't send it to me in a social media message. I don't want to be rude. I'm not trying to be rude, but I tend to get overwhelmed with the social media messaging platforms, and I don't always see them. And I want to see what you are reaching out to me with. If you send me an email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, the odds are infinitely better that I will see it immediately, and be able to address it. If for some reason I don't respond to your email at mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, give me a reasonable amount of time, and I don't mean 20 minutes, I mean like a day or two. Send me a second email and put in the subject line, "Hey, stupid." That always gets my attention, and it lets me know that I've missed something. I would ask you, though, don't send me that first email with the subject line, "Hey, stupid," because it tends to get me all riled up. Okay, Ryan Tedesco sent me an email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com with this week's question. Hey, Mike, here's a question for a DNR officer. A couple of buddies and myself recently had a discussion. If you could legally kill a deer after dark if you find it alive after tracking. For instance, if it's during bow season, can you use the bow or crossbow? And if it's during the firearm season, can you use a gun to kill that deer after dark? Okay, I'll give you a second to think about that one. What do you think the answer is? I admit I wasn't exactly sure, so I appreciate the fact that Ryan brought this up. So I reached out to my friends in the DNR. Here's the answer. WCO, which I think is Wildlife Conservation Order, 2.5, parentheses 7, allows you to load a gun, a bow, or a crossbow at the point of kill to dispatch a mortally wounded animal outside the legal shooting hours. Okay? This is from Game Warden Sergeant Mike Mashar. WCO 2.57 allows you to load your gun, bow, or crossbow at the point of the kill to dispatch a mortally wounded animal outside the legal shooting hour. So what does that mean? It means that while you are tracking that animal, you cannot have a loaded weapon with you. You cannot have a crossbow that's loaded. You can't have a compound with a bow, an arrow on the string. But when you find the animal, you can then get the weapon, the bow, the tool, the gun, and load it and shoot the animal after dark. Now, I knew that there was something in the law that allowed this to happen if you were using a licensed tracking dog, but I'll be honest, I didn't realize that we as hunters could do this routinely on our own too. So I think this is I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it is a very humane thing, and I appreciate the clarification from Sergeant Mike Mashar, and I especially appreciate the question from Ryan Tedesco. Now, Ryan did admit to me, he said he had a bet going with his friends, and he lost the bet. He didn't tell me what the bet was, but he said he was willing to pay up. So Ryan seems like a stand-up guy. If you have a question for me that you would like me to answer or pass along to somebody else and get an answer for you, please send me an email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. That's mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. We've had a really interesting list of questions over the past few years as we have been doing this, and I would like to continue this tradition here on the Outdoor Magazine radio show. And as always, a big thank you to the folks at Security Credit Union for making each week's Ask Avery question possible. Security Credit Union, great company, fastest growing credit union in Michigan, and for good reason. They have been very supportive of the show. They have been very supportive of the Mike Avery charity golf outing, and I would ask that you support them as well. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up this we're going to start the third hour of the show as we wrap up the second hour. And Charlie, this show is really, I mean, it's flown by. It has flown by. Even though I've had to be on Charlie because it's like, Charlie, press the button. He's got one job. He's got two jobs. He watches a clock and he presses buttons. And when we come out of a break and I have to say, Charlie, press the button, it's I don't know, Charlie. I'm you know how much respect I have for you. So I'm not disappointed. I'm not disappointed. I'm hurt. I'm hurt that you would just take this job so cavalierly. Is that a word? Cavalierly? It is now. You know I'm kidding. And anybody who's listened to this show knows I'm kidding. Charlie's a stand-up guy who does a great job, and I appreciate his support, and I appreciate Jonathan Dent as well. We'll take a break. When we come back, hour 3 coming up.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yater Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, the Forward Corporation, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Hammond Drives and Equipment, Garber Chevrolet, the West Branch Visitors Bureau, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Indeed, this is the big guy, Mike Avery. Thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to hour number 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network, on radio stations across this great state of Michigan, and as always, so glad to have you along with us. What are you doing right now in the outdoors? Are you just hunkered down? Kind of maybe waiting for springtime? Well, that would be a shame because springtime is a long ways off. Are you doing some late season doe hunting? Are you chasing rabbits behind beagles? Are you looking to do some ice fishing? Boy, people are excited about ice fishing this year in our state. Or are you out there still on the open water? I have to be honest. If I had my choice between ice fishing and steelhead fishing in the river, I'd take the open water steelhead fishing any day. But that's just me. Isn't it nice that in our state there are so many different wintertime and year-round opportunities? And I forgot to even talking about predator hunting. Predator hunting is huge now in the wintertime here in Michigan. When you think of steelhead fishing in Michigan, what do you think of, though? I mean, wintertime river steelhead fishing. Do you think of the old king of the hill, the au sable, which is actually not a bad fishery these days at all? Do you think about, say, the Manistee River, which would be a wonderful choice? Or do you think about heading down south? Maybe to St. Joe, the St. Joe River? Boy, that's a good choice, too. That St. Joe River, I fished it a few times. It is a very, very interesting river and a very interesting fishery, and it can be a very productive fishery as well. Captain Jerry Link knows that very well. He's his company, Originator Charters, originatorcharters.com, has been out there chasing fish on the big lake and in the river for decades, and he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Jerry, good to talk to you again. How have you been?
Great, Mike. Thanks for inviting me on.
Always a pleasure. So, as I set this up, I said, you're a veteran charter captain. You not only fish the river this time of year, but you spend all summer long out there on the big lake. What was that season like for you this past year?
The lake was really productive. We caught a lot of fish, more salmon than we've been in the last several years, mixed in with our trout. And it was a very good year overall. Mm-hmm.
It's a unique fishery down there, isn't it? Because number one, it fires up pretty early in the year, and then also the water that you have. There's not the deep water structure you're going to get up off Manistee and Frankfort. It's a different ball game, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah, it gradually gets slowly gets deeper. It's about 6 miles out to 100 foot, and then another 6 to another 100. So it gradually gets deeper on our end. We're the shallow end of the lake for sure, but very good fishery. The fish tend to, ones that don't run are out in the lake all winter, and they tend to migrate, a lot of them in the southern end of the lake. And so we usually get first crack at the coho in the springtime, and it can be lights out fishing and very exciting and a lot of fun.
Oh, that springtime coho fishery! I've taken advantage of that. That is unbelievable. You say you used to get that. Is that not the case anymore, Jerry?
No. We still
do. Okay.
That. No, we still do. No, absolutely. No, I said we're real fortunate with that. No, last year was a phenomenal year. It's really we're blessed to have a fantastic fishery year round, like you're saying, not only in the lake but in the river as well.
And when you find those springtime fish, and we're getting ahead of ourselves here now, though, once you find them, it really doesn't matter what you pull through them, does it?
Well, they're certainly very aggressive, very hungry. We do one of the easiest fish you'll ever fish for to catch, for sure.
Also, when I think of St. Joe, I think of, and I'm going back years here now, Skamania steelhead. Was that ever a thing? Is it still a thing?
It was a big thing for a long time until the state of Michigan decided to quit planting them. So now the only Skamania we get now are from Indiana. So they haven't planted any steelhead in quite a while. Or not, I should say, they planted a lot of steelhead. They haven't planted any Skamania steelhead, excuse me.
And the thing about them is, if I remember right, they were touted as being a summer run fish.
Yeah, they tend to spawn in July. Usually in the summer they spawn. But, we do catch them occasionally throughout the winter, too. They will follow some of the Michigan, what we consider the Michigan steelhead in, too. So it's kind of, it's not like you can only catch them in the summer. Mm-hmm.
So how is your steelhead fishery overall so far this season?
Overall, it's been good. We've had our slow days and our really good banner days. Yesterday had a banner day. We ended up catching probably around a 30-some inch brown trout.
Ooh.
The biggest brown trout of the year so far. It was really it's a beautiful fish. I mean, big male with a kype on it, a lot of girth to it. Just the picture perfect. I mean, if you pictured a trophy-sized brown trout in your mind, or if you've ever seen one, that's exactly what it was.
Now, obviously, you weren't targeting browns; you were targeting steelhead, and it was he just happened to be in there. Did you know right
Correct.
away he was a brown?
No. But it was an awesome fight. Had to clear all the lines. He ended up fishing, swimming from side to side of the boat. I mean, he gave every kind of a fight like you would expect and would want out of the fish. It was an awesome experience, and just really lucky to have caught him.
Where are you fishing now, Jerry? Are you downstream in town, or are you up by the dam?
So I started up by the dam, actually out fishing right now too as well, but started up by the dam this morning, but no luck up there, and we're sliding down the river. We're actually down near the old Muhammad Ali's old estate right now as we speak.
Oh, you're on the water right now. Excellent.
I'm on the water right now. Hopefully, if things go right, maybe we can hook up while we're talking to you. That'd be awesome.
Hey, listen, even if you don't, just tell me a story. We'll never know.
Exactly.
So how far is it from the dam down to town? Can you fish that whole trip in one day?
Oh, well, you'd have to have a lot of time, that's for sure. But it's 26 miles of river system between the pier heads and the dam. So typically, I'd say no, but I've certainly made the trip. I've ran from Berrien all the way down to the lower end, and I've run from the lower end all the way up. many a times before. But you better know the river system for sure. It can be kind of challenging at times, especially during low water.
And I got to believe right now is a low water period.
It's starting to drop back down. We had some rain, and it was up for a while, and now the water's starting to go back down. But it's not. When I say low, it's nothing like it was earlier this fall yet. But definitely the water is low. Mm-hmm.
All the rain and the runoff had to make some muddy, dirty water too. Is that a factor, Jerry?
It can at times, but it actually wasn't as bad as you'd think because the water was so low for so long that the water, wasn't as dirty as you would have thought it would have been. But definitely there were parts that were dirty, but it's cleaned up right now. There's spots right now that are remarkably clear.
Wow. So how are you targeting these fish? Are you lobbing spawn? Are you pulling plugs behind the boat? What are you doing?
Well, today we're just using plugs. We've been using a combination of both, though, the bottom bouncing spawn bags and plugs. But we're just using plugs at the moment as we're talking to you. Mm-hmm. And sliding back. Just setting and sliding back with the current a little bit.
Boy, I don't want to say it's an easy way to fish, and I don't mean that in a negative sense, but if you've got people on the boat who haven't fished a lot before and you want to make it obvious when a fish hits, that's a good way to go, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no question about it when those fish hit, yeah, compared to a spawn bag typically, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nothing like a steelhead in the river. We're talking with Captain Jerry Link of Originator Charters, originatorcharters.com, originatorcharters.com. If you're looking for a summertime fishing trip on southern Lake Michigan, or even spring, summer, fall, winter, get in touch with Captain Jerry Link of Originator Charters, originatorcharters.com, originatorcharters.com. We got to take a break. The Cap is fishing right now. When we come back, I'm hoping, and Charlie, this happens a lot, I'm hoping he will hook into a fish while we are talking with him here on the air, originatorcharters.com. I have an interesting history with St. Joe, southern Lake Michigan. St. Joe River, had some very good friends there who were hardcore fishing addicts. So we did that southern Lake Michigan coho fishery. I have fished steelhead in the St. Joe River. I find it to be a very interesting river, a very productive river, and a really fun place to fish. originatorcharters.com, originatorcharters.com. We'll take a break. More when we come back right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Holland on WHTC 1450 AM, 99.7 FM. And you can hear us, let's stay on that side of the state. No, let's go north. Let's go north of the bridge. Let's go to Newberry, WNBY 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by the Truck Trolley. No longer do you have to use your old man hook. Well, I'm speaking the hook that I did. I used to have this hook on the end of a broom handle, and there was a hook on it. And I would drop the tailgate of my truck, and I would reach this hook all the way up into the front of the bed of the bed of the truck. Because when you stop or when you drive, things work their way forward. I'd reach over that tailgate, I'd grab it with this hook, and I'd pull it back to where I could reach it. Not anymore. I put that truck trolley in there, and it's instant access to my entire bed of my truck. It's a family-owned, Michigan-based, Michigan-made company. You know I love that. Check them out at trucktrolley.com. That's trucktrolley.com. And you might say, well, Avery, what if you need to haul like gravel or sand or stone or something, and you need all access and you need all your truck bed? Well, you take it out in a couple of minutes. You haul your sand or gravel. When you're done, you put it back in because it's not screwed into your truck at all. It's held in with cables. I'm telling you, it is a wonderful design. I would encourage you to check it out online, trucktrolley.com. That's trucktrolley.com. Right now, we're talking with Captain Jerry Link of Originator Charters in St. Joe. He's actually on the river right now as we're talking. Cap, any luck during the break?
I wish I could tell you, but no. But hopefully we'll hook up soon here.
All right. Well, I hope you do as well. Hey, Jerry, how long have you been doing this?
I've had my license since '92. So in a while.
Yeah. So what caused you to get into this? Is it something you've always had a passion for fishing and you wanted to make a living out of it, or tell me how this process worked in your mind?
I grew up as a little fishing as a little boy with my grandfather, and he was an avid fisherman, and he got me into it. And he was friends with some of the very first charter captains in our area, so I was very fortunate to meet some of them and know some of them my entire life, and got to fish with them as well. And first mated when I was younger on some of the top charter boats in our port, and it went from being a hobby to a passion to a living.
And what is it like when that happens? When you take your passion and turn it into a job? Does it take the fun out of it, or do you still enjoy your time on the water?
I still enjoy it thoroughly. It's not for everyone though. It's something that you really better enjoy, and you better be mechanically inclined to fix a lot of your own things, because it's very expensive, a hobby, and expensive operation, I should say, especially with the lake boat. And so it's definitely it's not for everyone for sure, but I still get excited every single fish, and I'm very passionate about what I do, and it's definitely it's a great way to, it's a great career, for me, but it's not, you're not going to make a ton of money at it either though. So, but it's definitely a lot of fun.
Well, and I'm looking at your big lake boat. I mean, it's if you've still got the same boat, a 36-foot Tierra with 14 feet wide. I mean,
correct.
That's a big boat. What are you running now in the river in the wintertime?
I've got a 26-foot Tri-Tune, and it's the largest river boat on the St. Joe that I know of that a charter boat was. It's 26 foot long with a heated enclosed cabin. It's got a 3,200 BTU heater, so it keeps you out of the elements when you want to be out of it. And so you fish and get cold, come inside, warm up. Got couches, stereo, pretty much anything you need. So.
So you're not out there freezing your fingers off fishing with you in the wintertime.
No, it's like sitting in your living room floating down the river. So.
Where do your clients come from? Do you get a lot of Chicago people coming up?
I get people from all over, Chicago, Indianapolis, pretty much everywhere, though. I've had people literally out from all over the world. But, a lot of our clientele is from out of town for sure, but probably about 40% local or so, 30 to 40% local business.
And then how much of your business are people who really aren't fishermen, where you have to – I think this is the fun part, and maybe I'm wrong here, but taking people out who have never had an experience like this before and showing them what it's like, that can be a real rush. How many people do you get like that in a year?
A lot. Most of the people that I get are people that don't fish a lot, and that, have heard about it and always wanted to try it type thing, and first timers. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. That makes it worthwhile, is watching people catch a steelhead or a king salmon or their first coho. That's really one of the most rewarding parts of the whole thing.
And how do steelhead fight in this cold water? Are they still are they acrobatic at all, or are they just dog more, or what?
No, they can be all of the above. It just depends. Every fish has its own characteristic, but yeah, they definitely will jump around, and pound for pound, probably they say pound for pound, probably as good a fight as, if not better than, any other fish you'll ever fight. So.
And then you said you caught this beautiful brown the other day.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of it here when I get off.
Yeah, please do. I'd love to see it. And if you don't mind, I'll post it too, because I don't think there's a prettier fish out there maybe than a big beautiful brown trout.
Steelhead is one of my favorite, but a brown trout is really hard to beat. That's for sure.
Oh, okay. So, The rest of the morning now, or the rest of the day while you're on the water, will you stick with the same tactics, the same techniques, or will you change your plan of attack as you move into different water?
I do change up at times, but we definitely move around a lot. Don't try to stay in one spot for very long. So just keep hopping around until we find them. So some days they're.
Remind me on the St. Joe, because I have not fished the upper stretches. Was that a logging river at one time? Are there a lot of logs, a lot of log jams, a lot of timber in the water?
There is. There's a lot of timber up this way, and a lot of it's fallen in. Over years, a lot of dead timber. And so yeah, they definitely plenty of that up here.
So, are those places that would hold fish? Do you target that wood?
Sure. At this time of year, they do a lot of times like to hang out near that wood for sure. Mm-hmm.
So what are you more concerned with this time of year, Cap? Is it clarity? Is it flow? Is it water temperature? What are you looking at?
Well, right now the water temperature is 34 degrees up here, and I'd say the clarity is probably the clearest it's been in a long time, probably since we had all that rain. So I'd say our clarity is excellent right now. And when the water's low, we tend to hit the deeper holes. When the water's high, you tend to try to find some of the shallower spots type thing. So, but fish, they break the rules every day. You catch fish out places you wouldn't think you would sometimes, and things you'd swear you'd catch fish at, you wouldn't, so. And
I bet you see that in the river and in the big lake as well.
For sure, yeah. You catch fish even out in the lake, you think all the time fish got to be in this temp. We catch them out of temp, in temp and below temp, and for sure, yeah. There's no one thing I learned a long time ago is there is no absolutes in fishing.
That's good advice. If I learned nothing else from this week's show, that's good advice right there, Cap. I appreciate that. So how long will you stay in the river now, the St. Joe River, chasing steelhead, before you turn your attention to the big lake and the early season trolling out there?
I'll be in the river till about the 1st of April. So, and when the lake boat comes out, we're on the lake for the rest of until the end of October again. So,
do you have an early season nearshore brown trout fishery down there like we used to at least see up around Manistee or so?
We do. Well, we do tend to catch most of our brown trout in the early spring while fishing for coho, for sure. Yep, off those first, second sandbars. Yep, we do have but that being said, out of all the fish planted in the lake, on our side, brown trout are the least amount planted. So, but we do tend to catch the largest numbers of brown trout in that early spring for sure while coho fishing.
I'm kind of a walleye guy. I live over here near Saginaw Bay, so I got walleye are kind of my fish. Do you, when you're chasing steelhead there in the St. Joe, especially that lower stretch, would you hook into a big walleye down there at all?
Absolutely. I'll send you some pictures from last week. We had 2 different days. I hooked some really nice walleye. Some of the walleye were as big as some of the smaller steelhead for sure. Mm-hmm.
Oh, no kidding.
So one thing about the walleye we do tend to get usually will tend to be a little larger than what you would think. So we don't catch a ton of walleye. It's not like Lake Erie when you think of it, but the ones we do tend to get a lot of them tend to be on the nicer size. So
do you target them, or are you fishing them just like steelhead?
Oh, don't catch them. Just catch them by accident while steelhead fishing. Yeah, I don't necessarily target. There are some guys that do target them specifically, but I don't typically. I mean, I get a few guys that want to just go for walleye, but most guys this time of year, most of my customers want to steelhead fish. But
that St. Joe River is something else though too, because I've talked with guys in the past here on the show who fish the St. Joe, and they target in the summertime catfish, and they get trophy catfish. I mean, you've got a heck of a river there.
Yeah, the state record was was actually caught on our river just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So I know that. So it was caught on the lower end. I know that for a fact because I know the guy that caught it.
Yeah, and he was an interesting radio conversation, too, as are you, Captain Jerry Link. I appreciate your time. Let's stay in touch, and we'll get you back out here on the show. As you get into that early season Southern Lake Michigan trolling, we'll talk about that as well.
Sounds good, Mike. Thanks.
I appreciate it. Captain Jerry Link of Originator Charters. His website is originatorcharters.com, originatorcharters.com. I'm on his website right now, and I'm looking at a guy in that tri-tune, that big 26-foot tri-tune, holding up. It looks like it's a 30-pound steelhead. I know it's not, but it looks like a beautiful fish. And I will post pictures of the big walleye that Jerry was talking about and that big brown as well. You'll find those on my Facebook page. Mike Avery Outdoors on Facebook. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, a few more things I want to shoot the breeze about, and then we'll wrap it all up, as we always do, with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show across our great state. As I look at my list of affiliates right now, though, it's like a West Michigan coastline tour. News 97.98, 98.7 WLDN in Ludington, 97.7 WMLQ in Manistee, WKBZ in Muskegon, 1090 AM. And then we jump over to the other side of the state. WSGW 790 AM and 100.5 FM. In fact, I'm in the studios of WSGW right now, as I am every week. For 3 hours I'm here, and I stake out this one little corner of the building, and I call it the Outdoor Magazine Studio. And the only person who's actually fought me on it is Jonathan Dent. Now, I thought that was him walking by right now. Charlie Rude, who is in here with me right now, has just acquiesced. He knows. He's like, okay, Avery, you've been here 20 years. We're just gonna go along with it. But I kid Charlie and I kid John, but both of these guys are just great guys. They are very conscientious, professional broadcasters, and the fact that they get stuck working with me 3 hours a week is, I feel bad for them, but I do appreciate their help. And Charlie, thank you so very much. Talking with Jerry Link of Originator Charters out of St. Joe reminded me of a fishing trip that I made out of St. Joe many years ago, fishing with Dick Swan. Now, Dick Swan is a guy who made noodle rods famous. He used to fish the river with noodle rods. These were very long, very limber, very light line rods. But he also used to use them out on Southern Lake Michigan trolling for salmon. And one time, I was actually working with Dick. We were trying to make a TV show. It never really took off, never really got legs, but we were trying to do a TV show for him, and we shot several different episodes. One of the episodes was trolling out of St. Joe with the defensive line for the Dallas Cowboys. There was Ed Too Tall Jones. There was Randy White. And I can't think of the other guys' names, but there were 6 of them, I think, maybe 5 or 6 of them. And I tell you what, you get the defensive line of the Dallas Cowboys in the back of a boat fishing. It's an interesting situation. And I was very young. I was very early on in my career. And I can't remember all the details of that trip. I could probably find the video somewhere. But I do remember the experience and how cool that was. And that's just one of, I don't know, hundreds of cool experiences that I've had along the way. I have been truly, truly blessed. People say, Avery, you should write a book. My memory is not good enough to write a book. I'll be honest with you about that. In fact, my memory sometimes is not good at all. I forgot to tell you that this segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by... What's the sound? Right there, Rapid River Knives. Chris Durson and all the folks at Rapid River knives in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. They do a wonderful job. Their website, rapidriverknifeworks.com. That's rapidriverknifeworks.com. I would encourage you to swing by their showroom on US 2 just east of Rapid River. They're working very hard to replenish their stock of knives. Christmas wiped them right out. RapidRiverKnifeWorks.com, RapidRiverKnifeWorks.com. I actually looked up Ed Too Tall Jones and Randy Johnson. Well, I looked at Randy Johnson, but it's Randy White. And I'm looking at some of the video of these guys while they were back on the field. Ed Jones was 6'9", and Randy White was he was tough. And I remember him as being, I don't want to say grumpy, but he was very straightforward, and he didn't take a lot of, he was a no-nonsense kind of guy, as, I guess you would expect him to be. All right, so what else is on my list here? Tickets are now on sale for our big Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. That is Saturday, March 7th. It's at the Great Hall in Midland. If you go to one.bidpal.net/Trinity, you can get the tickets, or I have pinned that address on the top of my Facebook page. So if you go to Mike Avery Outdoors on Facebook, you can click the link and just get tickets right there. The Ultimate Fishing Show Detroit is going on this weekend in Novi. If you're looking for something to do, swing by that. That's at the Suburban Collection Showplace, the soon-to-be renamed Suburban Collection Showplace. I still think of it as a Novi Expo Center, I got to be honest with you, but you know where I'm talking about. Bucks are dropping their antlers early this year, but as we learned in our conversation in the second hour with Jason Herbert, even though that's happening, please keep into account, especially a year like this when we've had, semblance of a real winter, that it could be somewhat irresponsible to walk out into a bedding area right now and start looking for sheds. So, Jason made an interesting comment. Are you thinking more about the sheds or the animals? Which one is more important to you? And right now, it's the animals. So keep that in mind. What else is coming up? Oh, also the MUCC convention. Boy, there's a lot of noise out in that hall today, Charlie, isn't there? The MUCC convention is in conjunction with Outdoorama this year, which will also be at the Suburban Collection Showplace. That's coming up the weekend of March 21st. I will be emceeing the event that night. It's not an awards this year. Is my time off, Charlie? I got 30 seconds. Good? Okay. MUCC is changing. I wish them well. I will do everything I can to be a part of that change and to help that change be as productive as possible. As part of that, I am emceeing that event on the 21st. You can be a part of that as well. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap it all up with Chef Dixie Dave Minar. Thank you so much for joining us this week here on the Outdoor Magazine Show, on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network. I do really appreciate it. There are a lot of things vying for your time, for your attention these days. And the fact that you're hearing my voice, here on the radio version of the show or the podcast version of the show means a lot to me. It also means a lot to me that over the years I've had a chance to work with just some really top-notch, good quality people who have become my friends, really good, true, long-time friends. Wild Game Chef Dixie Dave Minar and I have known each other for years and years and years. Now, Dave is not at the old Dixie Inn or Oscar and Joey's anymore, but he is cooking a few days a week at the King's Dish restaurant in Standish. So if you want to try his wares, his cooking, you can still do it there, or just listen to the show each week where he joins me, as he is now, with another recipe. David, welcome back. How are you?
I'm very good. And yourself, Michael?
I couldn't be better. I'm excited about this new year, and I can't really tell you why. I feel like there are good things that are going to happen. Good.
Are you enjoying the new year so far?
I am, and I have not written down or even said 2025, so I feel like I'm ahead of the curve.
Okay.
What do you have for us this week, David?
Oh, we have Walleye, New Orleans.
Oh, you know who loves this one.
I know, the missus.
It's her favorite Dixie Dave recipe. Let's hear it.
We're on page 38. So you need 6 to 8 ounces. This is for 4 portions. So you need 6 to 8 ounces of boneless, skinless filet per person. 1 small can of artichoke hearts drained and quartered. 12 ounces of fresh mushrooms sliced thin. 1/4 cup of diced onions fine. 2 eggs beaten up well. 1 cup of flour. At least a half a stick of butter, maybe even a little bit more. Fresh butter. And then you need about 3/4 of a cup of white wine, a dry wine, whatever you're going to be enjoying with the meal. You can cook with that too. And then a couple tablespoons of fresh parsley and the juice of 1 lemon. So what you want to do after you skin the fish, you want to, well, I guess you could actually leave the skin on as long as you scale it real good. But I prefer to have it skinned. So dredge the fillets in flour, then dip it in beaten up eggs. Add oil to coat the bottom of a pretty darn hot pan. Place skin side up in the pan, so when you flip it over, the rib side will be facing the diner. And then don't crowd your fish. You might have to do it in a couple of different batches, and you might have to actually put it in a casserole and bake it instead of doing it on the stove. Well, we had big pans at work, so we could do it that way. Add the wine, the mushrooms, the onions, the butter, and the artichoke hearts, and lemon juice uncovered. Reduce the volume of the liquid over high heat until thick and creamy. The butter is going to be the thickening agent. Place the warm fillets on a warm plate. Spoon the sauce equally over each and sprinkle with parsley. And man, Mike, we did this with drum. I don't know if you remember. We did this with sheep's head.
Sheep's head, yep. I just remember it being one of the signature dishes of Oscar and Joey's or the Old Dixie Inn.
Yep. It was definitely the #1 seller of all times. People just loved it. I don't know why, but it took off and went viral.
I know why, because it had a wonderful, very light but very enjoyable taste. And it was one of those dishes that when you looked at it, it just made your mouth water. It's like, okay, you knew this was going to be good.
I think maybe, yeah, because I invented this recipe. And then we used to put shrimp and scallops with it.
Oh.
And made it really good.
I'm looking at the list that I had sent you of video recipes that I was able to find, and Walleye New Orleans is not on this original list. Now, I know that I have this somewhere, so I'm going to keep digging a little bit deeper, and I'm going to try to find this. If I can, I will post it on the Facebook page and other places as well. But this one isn't jumping out at me, but I continue to find more of these old recipes, Dave, and I'll continue to keep looking for them.
Did you, could you look and see if we got Walleye Key Largo on the list?
Yeah, let me look. Nutty walleye with bananas.
All right, I'll do that.
Okay, hold on. I got some more. Walleye almondine. Pan-fried walleye with blueberries.
Okay, we can do that.
Coconutty walleye. Whitefish primavera.
All right.
We got a tequila peppered halibut, but couldn't you use that for something else?
Yeah.
And I think that's all the walleye that I'm coming up with right now. And some trout dishes as well. But I will keep looking, Dave.
All right. The list you sent me came through so small I can't even read it.
You can't click on that and then zoom out with it with your fingers?
I'll have to figure out how to do that.
Try that. Have Terry look at it. She's a technical guru. Have her take a look at it.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. I got to let you go. We'll talk next week.
All right. Bye-bye.
Wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar, a big part of the Outdoor Magazine show, as are you, because if you weren't listening, there'd be no reason to do this. And I'm not ready to call it quits yet. My name is Mike Avery. This show is called Outdoor Magazine. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address is mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what's on your mind. Let me know what you like to hear about. Let me know what you're sick of hearing about. Send me your pictures. Send me your videos. We'll share them with the world. Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com.